Welcome aboard. In today's episode, you can see that big block of troops in the middle. Those are mostly Imperial conscripts. They've got some Ultramarines and some Black Templars with them. Off on the right, there's a bunch of Slaanesh. In back, about 2 million Orks. And off on the left side, a bunch of Servants of Khorne. No one is an ally in this. All four of those groups are in it against each other, and obviously the Imperials are sort of stuck in the middle. So that gives them an interesting challenge. You can see right here, these are Slaanesh cultists, I think. They're pretty physically weak, but they do dish out a decent amount of damage. So they're starting to cut into that line of Imperial conscripts. You can see a little bit of bolter fire sneaking through. Most of the Space Marines are in the back lines right now. The Emperor has seen fit to sort of toss the Imperial conscripts in as a blade of armor. Here you can see some Orks. These are old school Orks. Some really awesome two-handed axes. These guys love to fight. They're getting right into it, applying an amazing amount of pressure on those Imperial conscripts, and they're getting shot up on the way in, but not taking too much damage. Yeah, here you can see the bolter fire support, and this is really the backbone of this Imperial force. You know, those Ultramarines are able. Yeah, you can see just the bodies piling up there. Like, they need that fire support. These Imperial conscripts can't really stand up to too much fight, but there's a huge amount of them. In this corner, yeah, you can start seeing these Servants of Khorne. I think these are bloodletters. These guys are super fast, and so they're excellent at filling in gaps, breaking lines. You can see they're just like tearing in, just ripping. They're really, really fast, and I put an absolute pile of them in here. I think there's probably about 1 million that took the field. Khorne is supported by other more elite forces. It's not just a mob. I think these are Exalted of Khorne. There's also some proper demons in the mix. The Slaanesh also have some more elite units in there, and so, you know, their strategy is basically send in the shock troops first, push the line, as you can definitely see here, and then some of the more elite forces hopefully get in there and finish the job. But it really is, yeah, here we go. It really is anyone's matchup. Black Templars here doing what they do best, getting right in the mix, helping to hold that line. You know, by being interspersed here, they're going to take some pressure off of their gun line, so they can actually shoot some bullets without all just getting butchered at once. And you can see that they can absolutely take punishment. They're in there with their chainswords, in their element, chopping down. But you'll also note that these bloodletters, they are so good at just finding a tiny little gap, squeezing in, and getting a few hits in. This is definitely blood for the blood god territory. No matter who wins this, I think at the end of the day it's going to be Khorne that's the ultimate winner. And so pushing further down the line here, you just see it's, you know, there is only war. Looking back here, yeah, you can start to see some of those more elite units that I was talking about. I don't even know what these guys are called. They're just rad looking. I just pulled them down on a mob the other day. There's a Nurgle version floating around too. These guys I kept melee. And the Nurgle ones I turned them into. Who are these dudes? Oh my god, these guys are so cool. So yeah, there's a good solid mix of units going here. You can see that the fronts have spread out. All of the Imperial forces have sort of moved out to face the incursion on three sides. Here it's pretty thin, though. I wonder if the Khorne line sort of was able to push its way out and wrap around. This is not a good matchup. I have very low expectations. Yeah, that Ultramarine just got yoinked. The Ultramarines are super tough and lay out crazy damage, but they do get overrun if they're absolutely surrounded by a mob of little guys quite routinely. They can often stand toe-to-toe with, like, big demons for a little bit, but the output of those little hits can really overwhelm them. Now in this game, or at least how I've sort of messed with the modding here, the Black Templars are a little bit opposite. Because they're melee, they have a nice sweeping attack. They tend to fare a little bit better against mobs, but because they're not getting shots off on the way, they tend to do a little worse against some of the bigger units. Yeah, you can see here the Slaanesh army has some more elite, super creepy looking demons coming in. This should pose a threat, but they do have to wade through an amazing amount of firepower to get where they're going. But you can see those Imperial conscripts are starting to fold under the pressure. I would not want to be on the front of that line right now. Does not look fun. All you can really hope to do as an Imperial conscript in this point is just keep pulling the trigger. Just keep pulling the trigger. There's no place to back off to. There's no need for a commissar to to keep you in line because there's no place to go. Which is actually how a lot of the forces of chaos, definitely the orcs, like it. You know, they press you in, and then they get their hits. Obviously here, the only ranged weapons are on the Imperial side, which is why I gave them the sort of central space disadvantage. You can see the numbers up on the top right are pretty small, but right now everybody's still in it. If you're not on your phone, if you're actually watching this like on a PC, in the top right corner it does have the current body counts. Team 1 is Khorne, Team 2 is the Imperials, Team 3 is Slaanesh, and Team 4 is Orks. I'll pretty much give a little updates for those of you on a small screen as things start to get close for any one of the factions. Yeah, these orcs just love to just run down the enemy, get in really close quarters, and just get their kills in, get in a good crumping. And you can see, you know, they're just so eager for battle. I think things are starting to level out here. They've got a decent amount. The Imperials have a decent amount of bolter fire support, but those orcs can take some punishment. They're not like the Slaaneshi front line that sort of is just there to gum things up. As you can see, we've got bodies. We've got some Imperial conscripts starting to move around. This is a really interesting section of this fight right now. And then you've finally got the Imperials able to move about a bit. Yeah, they are moving in to address this onslaught. I am guessing that other flank, which would have been the original left flank, folded under the Khorne demon assault. Yeah, now they're dealing with it. They're just getting run over. But they're sticking to it. These first guys are basically on the backside of the other flank. Yeah, they're just laying in firepower. But you can see these bloodletters are just piling over those hills like ants. Wow. They're just washing over. So much blood. It'll be interesting if they can hold them off. Now they're starting to get into a little bit thicker knot with Space Marine support here. You can see that Black Templar in there. He's in his element. This is what he loves to do. But they're still just pouring in. This could be an interesting, tough time for the Imperials. Just pouring over that hill. But everybody just diligently firing. This is one of those times where you just scream for the Emperor and hold the trigger down and hope for the best. I can't tell if they're starting to slow it. Still, well, okay, so it's not a perpetual front of badness, so it looks like they'll get that under control. Over here we have a very similar situation. Just piles of bloodletters, but they are holding them back. Interesting. It was an excellent push. Definitely chewed up a bunch of Imperials, but it looks like they've stemmed the tide for now. Look at all that gunfire. That is focused fire right there. I think somebody spent a command point somewhere around here. Look at that. A beautiful sunset. Look at how pretty it is. Nothing better than just getting out there, shooting up some demons. Maybe get a campfire going later. Have some snacks, maybe some s'mores. Alright. Way over here, do we still have things going on? Yeah. Ooh, interesting. So this is another one of those corners where multiple factions meet up. Orcs are just laying into a bunch of these Khorne demons. Orcs are pretty fearless. And they are getting a decent amount of hits in. I'm seeing a lot of elite demon bodies lying around. You know, even lacking any DACA on this map. I've yet to find good orcs that have guns. I really, really desperately want to find some. Yeah, here's some more elite Khorne. Like Valkyries? Interesting. Demonic Valkyries. But yeah, these orcs are just holding tight. Like, their line's not too thick, but they're absolutely putting the work in. So the forces of Slaanesh are definitely taking the worst beating right now. It's sort of neck and neck with the Imperials and the Orks. Orks are doing a lot of good work killing. But Khorne is definitely still in it. They've gotten a pretty awesome kill count going. But right now, I think the Orks have gotten the most kills out of anyone. Oh, here we go. Here comes the gunfire. Maybe it's an act of desperation at this point for the forces of Slaanesh. I mean, they're certainly not out of it, but they're down to maybe 130, it looks like. 130,000 units. You can see, and this is an interesting part, that the Imperial conscripts have actual room to move around. Like, they'll skirmish a bit when they can, but the opening of that fight, when everyone just presses in, you know, Braveheart style, now they're actually pressing at the back to get in and get more shots, which is a very good sign. And obviously, they've got that great support from those Ultramarines, but it's definitely a turning point now that they've got space to breathe. It gives them a little bit more flexibility to not just get chewed through like acid. And here we've got Orks on the front, valiantly questing forward. You can see all those bodies on the ground. Khorne is so pleased. It's like a carpet. It's like someone spilled the vacuum cleaner bag of bodies while they're emptying it out. Blood everywhere. I love the sight of all the gun and bolter fire once it gets dark in this game. It's pretty rad. Makes for good screenshots. Here you can see the Imperials just pouring it on. They're basically now shooting at that ridge. You can see them moving forward. It's an excellent sign. They're actually charging forward to get closer, cleaner shots. And they're just pouring on the firepower. They can get in real trouble when they're penned in, but now it looks like on all fronts they've got room to breathe, room to move around, and they can take advantage of that space. You can see these guys, like, they skirmish up, get some good clean shots, and then they'll back away a bit. Obviously, the kill count's still going up. A lot of them do get caught, but as soon as these ranged units, these Imperials, have some room, they can actually go around and make use of space. And it gives them a huge tactical advantage. Oh, that guy. Kill the UI for a second, maybe? Yeah. Take a screenshot. That guy served the Emperor well. The forces of Slaanesh are now under 40,000 units remaining. For context, the Imperials are sitting very strong at this point with more than 250,000. Khorne's at about 150,000, and the Orks are at about 100,000. The body count's still rising. The Orks definitely still out in front in terms of heads taken. No big surprise there. They just love to get in there and do damage. Over here, we can see a lot of Ork bodies piling up. Ork Ridge, which is interesting in this because those piles of bodies, I'm not sure they necessarily block gunfire, but they do block line of sight for shots taken, so you end up with a lot more shots aimed at the top of the ridge, which means a lot of the ones that pass through don't hit enemies in back, so it does... Apparently piling up your own bodies does serve a tactical advantage. Gives a little bit of hope to get through some gunfire, but in this case, pretty gnarly. And of course, the Orks are just ignoring gunfire valiantly as they get their kills in on these Slaaneshi. The Orks don't care. They see a crumping opportunity in front of them, they just go for it. They're just shrugging at the bolter fire behind them because the fight in front of them is just awesome. Now, as much as these forces of Slaanesh are definitely backed into a pretty rugged corner, you can... Oh, yeah, look at all of them just getting murked. You can imagine what it must be like to be getting piled into by a bunch of angry Orks and taking bolter fire at the same time. Oh, man, just piling up. They're down to, well, I was going to say 5,000. It's closer to 4,000. They're just out here for the ecstasy of blood and pain. So they're, as much as they're going out, they're having a good time. Black Templars are in there just finishing off. Oh, look at the piles and the pools of blood. Good stuff. So yeah, they're reforming out there, those Imperials, which means that flank is pretty much wiped out. Over here, still plenty of Khorne. I think we found the remains of the Slaaneshi forces getting absolutely overrun by these bloodletters. And once again, just taking fire at the same time. They're down to about 100 left. Yeah, they are going. Adios, Slaanesh, under 20. Under 10. 4 left. And they're out. We have our first competitor out of the mix remaining. Khorne's got under 100,000. The Imperials, wow, sitting strong at over 250,000. The Orks are at around 40,000. So it's, I wouldn't say that it's anyone's game right now, but I wouldn't also say that it's decided necessarily. Those Orks, they can definitely zip in and get a lot of kills. And for the record, the Orks are, you know, they're at the bottom of the troops remaining, but still at the top of the total kills, which is awesome. I love Orks. I think I say that every single time I make a vid with them, and they're awesome. Oh, just look at that carnage. You can see, you know, the history of battle, you know, based on where troop movements were, just based on the piles, the carpet of bodies left around. Here's where a bunch of hot action's still going on. You can see that focused bolter fire. This is absolutely what Space Marines often do best. It's just ungodly amounts of focused fire. You know, if you listen to any podcasts about, you know, American Special Forces, they often just talk about like overwhelming force. You know, the point is you just put the enemy in a position where they have no hope because you're just laying it in. And it takes a lot to make that kind of situation happen, but these Space Marines are just, now that they're spread out where they want to be, they're not all penned in like they were at the start. I mean, basically they were just sprinkled everywhere without any space to move. Yeah, look at this. Supporting forces now able to march in, take a new flank. You know, for starting all the way in the middle between everyone, it's gone pretty well. Noticing now that the Khornites are down at about 4,300 units left. I don't think these Valkyries are going to make it. They are just not fast enough, and they have this massive no man's land to cross to even try to threaten these guys. Yeah, they're just going to run them down. We're not going to wait for you. We're going to come find you. These Imperials are now mopping up. As the sun comes up, starting from an absolutely terrible position in the beginning, things have changed. You can see those little ponds there, just bloody. Some skirmish happened here. That's good drinking water, folks. Yum. Scars of battle. Not a whole heck of a lot left. Just taking a quick look around this battlefield. Blood everywhere. Bodies strewn. Hopefully I'll get back into Khorne here before they're all gone. There's only about 2 grand left. These guys are doing some very strange formation stuff. Let's get away from them. Sometimes the units, when they're on one side of the map and they've sort of finished something off, they'll do a strange formation before they get their act together. I think it's the AI probably trying to pool them, so they're not all acting independently. You sort of get them to do a swarm of sorts. So many bodies. Where, oh where is the remainder of battle? Oh, that looks like it. Wow, this is just sprawled everywhere. So much war. Yep, this is the remains of Khorne, and I think we got... Yeah, go get them, Orks. Those are Khornite Berserkers. They're actually really solid. They've been putting in a ton of kills in this battle. They're melee Space Marines, and they're two-handed. They have a spin kick. Their animations are just like goofy, but I love them. But yeah, the Orks doing the job of really finishing things off over here. Once again, you know, ignoring a barrage of bolter fire to get those kills. finish off another faction. Just great work. Look at this mob. You know, there's only 7,500 orcs left at this point. Khorne is out. Khorne is out, but of course, Khorne is the true victor of this entire battle. Yeah, the last charge of the orcs. My precious valiant orcs. They've been taking bolter fire the whole time. They finished off another faction, and now they're just going to run down these Imperials and get those hits in. Make that kill count keep going up. That's what it's all about. These guys are awesome. The final charge. And you can see they're just climbing over their brethren. Climbing over the fungal carpet to get those hits in. Love it. What a good way to go out as an orc. They're down to 100. Oh, it's definitely going down fast. I wonder if I'll end up with just one left. 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, don't tell me you did it again. Every time there's like one orc, some sneaky git. Whenever I use orcs, it's almost always one guy. Refuses to lose. I'm going to call this one done and call my computer cursed. Every time I use orcs, and I've used different kinds, not every time, but most of the times, one orc survives. I don't think I can hunt down that last orc all over this whole battlefield. This one's kind of huge. I've been able to find them every once in a while in the past, but thanks a bunch. We'll run the Exterminatus, but we're going to call this a victory for the Imperials, based on surviving. Victory for the Orcs for getting the most kills, and of course a victory for Khorne, because blood for the Blood God. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye.